The 60s are known as a pretty explorative era for filmmaking where different genres and concepts were being explored all over the world. One such genre that was widely explored was werewolf horror. With the growing interest in folklore and the unknown, this genre seemed to get a lot of traction if done right. So here are some werewolf movies from the 60s for fans like you. But before we get into it, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's get into it. The Curse of the Werewolf, 1961. Leon Corledo was born under a bad omen, and his childhood was marked by misery. Coming from a broken home, with his mother passing away during childbirth, he's taken in by the Corledos, noblemen in their society. As he grows up, strange occurrences begin to surround him, animals mysteriously dying, and recurring violent dreams haunting his daily life, all while dark, wild urges brew within him. Despite being raised with love and guidance by his father, Don Corledo, Leon struggles to escape his curse. Leaving home at a young age, he joins a winery, where he falls in love with the owner's daughter, Christina. As his love for her deepens, he fights to protect her from his beastly desires. However, one fateful night at a brothel ends in disaster. His inner monster finally breaks free as his skin turns to fur, leaving everyone at his mercy. As the townsfolk do their best to stop the creature, it all culminates in Leon being shot dead by a silver bullet fired by his own father. Though not among Hammer Productions' most celebrated classics, The Curse of the Werewolf found renewed attention through its own comic adaptation, which garnered significant audience and critical reaction. If you enjoy the horrors of the 1960s, this film delivers an old-school horror experience.
If you're not gay.
Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, 1965. This British anthology film consists of 5 distinct horror short stories. As 5 strangers board a train, they encounter Dr. Schreck, a tarot reader who begins revealing their fates. The first story follows architect Jim Dawson, who's traveling to his ancestral home to renovate it. However, as the legend of a werewolf haunting the house becomes more apparent, he's forced to confront his own terrifying destiny. The second tale centers on Bill Rogers, who returns from vacation only to discover an intelligent mutant vine spreading across his house, attacking him and his family. When he attempts to burn it down, the plant learns to control fire, turning their doom into an inescapable fate. In the next story, Biff Bailey's life spirals out of control when he records a secret chant during a trip to the Caribbean. When he performs it in London, vengeful voodoo gods take over his life, cursing him forever. Another tale follows critic Franklin Marsh, who publicly shames artist Eric Landor. After an incident causes Landor to lose his hand, the severed limb returns to torment Marsh, driving him to madness. The final story revolves around Bob Carroll, who suspects his wife of being a vampire, but he soon realizes that the true nightmare is far worse than he ever imagined. For horror fans who enjoy multiple eerie tales woven into one, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors has entertained audiences for generations, seamlessly blending various horror subgenres. If you've watched this film, let us know in the comments which of these stories is your favorite. The She-Wolf, 1965. Originally titled La Loba, this Mexican film explores werewolfism in its purest form. Clarissa, a woman haunted by her dark past, suffers from unexplained blackouts and violent outbursts. She soon discovers that these episodes are tied to a curse she inherited, one that causes her to transform into a werewolf under the full moon. As a series of gruesome murders terrorize the town, Eduardo, her lover, is torn between his love for her and his moral obligations. But Clarissa realizes that the only way to end the massacre is through self-sacrifice. As the film concludes in tragedy, so does its reign of terror, leaving a lasting impact on viewers. Praised for its action sequences and makeup effects, The She-Wolf is regarded as one of Mexico's most visually impressive horror films. Did it make it onto your watch list? Let us know in the comments. House of Terrors, 1960. La Casa del Terror, another Mexican film on this werewolf-themed list, tells the chilling story of Dr. Sebastian, who accidentally revives a mummy, only for it to transform into a werewolf. As the creature prowls the town, hunting victims and spreading chaos, it leaves nothing behind but horror and destruction. Casimiro, a night watchman who witnesses the bloodshed, tries to warn others about the werewolf, but his warnings are dismissed. Determined to put an end to the terror, he sets a trap for the creature and manages to wound it with a silver object. The werewolf reverts to its human form, just as it nearly brings the town to ruin. A horror comedy at heart, House of Terrors delivers a unique blend of thrills and humor. Though not a cinematic masterpiece, it has entertained audiences and received fair reviews on IMDb for its lighthearted take on the horror genre. Beauty and the Beast, 1962. Who isn't familiar with the story of Beauty and the Beast? While Disney's version is widely loved, this adaptation takes a darker, more gothic approach, intertwining romance with the concept of werewolves. The story follows Althea, whose father, a merchant, takes refuge in a castle owned by the Beast. Warned not to steal anything, he nevertheless plucks a flower for his daughter. Enraged, the Beast threatens to take his life, but the merchant begs for mercy. The Beast agrees to spare him on one condition: his daughter must come to the castle. Althea complies, and, despite her fears, slowly grows accustomed to the Beast's monstrous presence. As their bond deepens, she discovers that his terrifying form is the result of a curse brought upon by his own selfish desires. She learns that only true love can break the spell, and as she begins to understand the real him, the relationship blossoms. However, back in town, her suitor Edmund learns of the Beast's existence and leads a group of men to the castle to confront him. A fight breaks out, and Edmund attacks the Beast. But just as all seems lost, Althea's confession of true love shatters the curse, transforming the Beast into a handsome man. The film ends on a hopeful note, celebrating the power of love and reaffirming the importance of kindness. This version of Beauty and the Beast subtly portrays werewolfism in the gentlest way possible while delivering a meaningful message to its audience.
Leonore! I can't help you, Leonore!
Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory, 1961. An Italian-Austrian horror film directed by Paolo Heosh, Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory offers a unique storyline with intriguing twists for fans of werewolf cinema. Dr. Julian Alcott arrives at a secluded girls' boarding school under mysterious circumstances. Accused of performing controversial medical experiments and burdened by a tarnished reputation, he hopes to rebuild his life. However, soon after his arrival, a student named Mary is found clawed to death near the school. Rumors spread that the school is cursed, and whispers of a werewolf lurking in the shadows take hold. Determined to uncover the truth, Mary's friend Priscilla begins investigating. As more students are murdered or go missing, suspicion falls on Alcott due to his questionable past. But as the mystery unravels, it becomes clear that Alcott is not the culprit. Together, he and Priscilla set out to uncover the real monster and lift the school's terrifying curse. With its fresh take on lycanthropy and an engaging storyline, Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory is an enjoyable 80-minute watch for werewolf enthusiasts. The Mark of the Wolfman, 1968. La Marca del Hombre Lobo, also known as The Mark of the Wolfman, is a Spanish horror film that presents a unique take on the werewolf legend. The story follows Waldemar Daniński, a Polish nobleman who encounters two vampire siblings while traveling through the Carpathian Mountains. After being attacked by a werewolf, Waldemar is cursed with lycanthropy. Desperate to control his transformations, he seeks the help of Dr. Mikolov and his wife, Wandessa. However, the couple manipulates him, using his curse for their own sinister purposes. As the film reaches its climax, Waldemar goes on a rampage, realizing that there's only one way to end his suffering. He pleads with Janice, his lover and one of the vampire siblings, to drive a silver dagger through his heart. With Waldemar's tragic demise, peace is finally restored to the village. A thrilling and atmospheric horror film, The Mark of the Wolfman takes a different approach to lycanthropy, making it a compelling addition to any werewolf movie watch list. House on Bear Mountain, 1962. A horror comedy about a girls' school run by Granny Good, House on Bear Mountain is an entertaining watch with sharp punchlines and great comedic timing. The story follows Granny Good, who hides her illegal alcohol production in the basement of the school. She also has a pet werewolf, Wolfie, who allies her in this operation. The girls mostly spend their time lounging and playing around. Soon the police get intel about such an operation happening at GGSFGG, Granny Good School for Good Girls. The police start snooping around and Granny tries to distract them, but things get serious as the girls claim witness to ghost sightings and horror. Even Wolfie starts acting strangely at the Halloween party thrown at school. The police expose her illegal operation and realize the ghastly activities are related to Granny's operation. As Granny faces her time in jail, the film ends, hinting that the school's horrors are not over. Blood of Dracula's Castle, 1969. When Glenn Cannon inherits an old castle after the owner's death, he makes his way to the castle, intending to let the occupants know that they would have to leave. The alleged occupants, Count Dracula and his wife, who go by the names Count and Countess Townseeds, shelter the couple overnight when their car breaks down. The castle also houses a butler, George, who mixes Bloody Marys prepared out of real blood for the Townseeds. The hunchback, Mango, along with George, occasionally sacrifice girls to their god by burning them at the stake. Another character called Johnny, supposedly a werewolf, turns into a serial killer when moonlight hits. Their activities are revealed when Glenn and Liz catch them performing a ritual and are confronted. Mango is killed the same way he sacrifices, while the vampire duo gets exposed to sunlight, evaporating them, turning them to dust. Witnessing all the drama, Glenn and Liz decide not to live in the castle. The film climaxes when two bats are seen flying from the castle, hinting that the story might not just be over yet. It's a silly watch when you're in the mood for something that would startle you with its quirkiness. Not entirely horrifying, but a decent watch on a day you want your mind to switch off. The Rider of the Skulls, 1965. El Charro de la Calaveras, the Mexican horror classic, is about a vigilante, namely El Charro de la Calaveras, who protects the city in 3 different episodes in the film. In the first incident, he fights off a werewolf, killing it with a silver bullet and ending his terror of the town. In the second story, he fights a vampire with a wooden stake and cross and drives the vampire back into his grave. In the last story, he encounters a headless horseman and breaks his curse, ending its hauntings over the innocent town. Just as any classic Western Mexican film ends, El Charro rides into the sunset, leaving the grateful townspeople behind him, imprinting himself as the hero who will always be there in times of need. Becoming a cult film for the audience, a fun time watching this is guaranteed, as audiences claim to want more of such films. Blending the supernatural with folk horror is the specialty of this film that got the audience's attention. Face of the Screaming Werewolf, 1964. This Mexican film was edited and re-edited quite a few times, with a lot of trivia surrounding parts of the film being removed and added, but not one story is actually verified. The plot follows a psychic woman named Ann Taylor, who leads some archaeologists into an Aztec tomb where they find 2 mummies, one being alive and a werewolf when revived. He goes on a mad killing spree and kidnaps Ann Taylor. While carrying her off, they're met with an accident and allegedly die off screen. The werewolf, however, reappears in the lab, where he's revived and causes havoc, killing people mercilessly. That's when the Mexican hero Tintin appears, saving the day. However, this ending doesn't add up with the film due to the version being heavily Americanized with the mention of Tintin nowhere before. A chaotic mix of many films and concepts, Face of the Screaming Werewolf is a comedy horror with niche references to Mexican folklore. The audience seemed to have mixed reactions, but overall called it a fun watch. Santo in the Wax Museum, 1963. Another Mexican film added to the list, a body horror by genre, Santo in the Wax Museum is a must-watch for Mexican wrestling fans. Santo, the popular Mexican wrestler, fights against a twisted scientist called Dr. Carroll, who aims to create the most realistic wax museum in the world and would go to all lengths to achieve the dream. Sudden disappearances around the museum make Santo skeptical of the doctor's intentions, as his statues slowly start looking more alive. Digging deeper into the mystery, Santo finds out that the statues are real people injected with a serum that paralyzes their bodies, which are then turned into statues. Upon confrontation, Carroll brings to life his wax monsters, one of them being a werewolf, as Santo fights against all of them single-handedly, killing them one by one. Carroll ultimately dies at the hands of Santo, his museum burning down, the victims free of Carroll's curse. The film ends with Santo walking away heroically, a perfect climax. The daily watcher of Mexican cinema finds it enjoyable and quirky, and certainly would put it on the top of their list. Orgy of the Dead, 1965. Suggested by its title, Orgy of the Dead surrounds the resurrection of an emperor. Bob and Shirley, on the other hand, arguing in the car on the decision of how to use the night, meet with an accident that leads them to this spot. They witness the dead emperor calling out various dancers for his entertainment. Bob and Shirley only notice from afar before they're caught by a muscly werewolf and a mummy and tied up, forced to watch the dances. Witnessing a rather eerie night, all the dead are reduced to ashes at the onset of dawn. When Bob and Shirley wake up near the scene of the accident, it's suggested that everything might have been a dream. A rather different concept. The film received mixed reviews. Called entertaining, the audience would pick this film to watch on a boring day. Worth a shot, I guess. Marvelous verdict. These were some of the films we think would land on your watch list. Let us know in the comments which films you want to watch. Werewolf films have always been popular, and this list was specifically for werewolf genre film lovers. Well, that's it for today. Do drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more such explorations. And remember, if moonlight exposure makes you uncomfortable, check for growing claws. Goodbye.